Motion on the
I have
table?
I have
Oh,
questions.
question.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have questions.
Hold
On number 25, what is the tuition rates?
It's not established yet by New York State.
So then
We
why do we have it
approved
on here if we don't have a rate to approve?
Because we approve New York's calculation of it. And New York usually calculates it and finalizes it sometime in August, but we approve that we're gonna take New York's calculation.
Okay, I have another question. Why is Duffield missing from the DASSER? $38.
The principal?
Well, every
Yeah,
other
the
building
principal
has.
should be there. Can we please add that?
So who's the DASSER for Duffield?
Lisa Farrell. These are the principals right now. We were awaiting, Ms. Santo was out for 2 weeks, so on vacation, so we were awaiting the YFS workers and the social workers and psychologists that would take the second part of it, but all of our principals are DASSA coordinators.
Alright, so
as
that
well.
needs to be on there.
Thank you.
And on number 46, who is the auditor? Why are we putting this up, but we don't even have a name?
This was supposed to be Helen Maloney.
Alright, well, you can't put something up there without a name,
Nope, you're right, thank you.
so that has to come off.
So we're tabling 46.
And then, can you explain to me what a board of registry is?
I can. That is, we have open registration, and the Central School District has to have a board of registry on the date of the vote to register any voter who is not already registered in the district.
Okay,
So, in accordance with education.
gotcha. Any other questions?
Okay, so we got a motion, a second, so,
Now it's as amended.
okay, can I get a motion as amended? Can I get a motion as amended?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to M, recommended action, personnel matters. Number 1, Schedule 1, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Linda, I just have a question.
Yeah,
You had somebody who's retiring, but they're also on the club list, you can do that?
they're retiring in June of next year,
Oh, okay, that's fine, that's fine.
but they can.
Number 2,
Yeah, that was one of the discussions.
We have another teacher that is retired but is, continues to be the advisor of the club.
Beautiful, nice, okay. All right, as far as Schedule 2 goes,
Schedule 2, appointments, tenure, salary changes.
can I ask with permission with the board if we can pull, it is a club stipend for Math League. I'm asking that the board, oh, wait, is it on here? Is the clubs on the Schedule 2?
Yes, please.
Where is the clubs?
Yeah, they start on page 37.
So the clubs are not on this, where are the clubs posted?
They're under this.
What?
They're under appointments.
So they're under there. All right, so I'm asking with permission from the board if they can pull, I don't want my thing is
Which one do
actually.
you want?
I want to pull Chris Dulce for a Math League. And the reason why I'm asking the board to pull that one is because in May, we did approve for a Math Honor Society. So obviously, it's no longer a Math League, it's now a Math Honor Society. And the stipend should be negotiated.
So it didn't get posted appropriate, Marlene, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right
It's
now,
number 41.
we should be approving a Math Honor Society, not a Math League.
It's number 41 on page, under the high school. Under the high school, which
Double
begins on
E.
page 39. It's number 41. So
All
we're
right.
pulling that for now?
Yeah, so with the board's permission, I believe we did approve in May to have a Math Honor Society. So it seems a little redundant to do a Math League when it's going to be, when it's agrees with that, but that's my feeling on that. Also too,
So there's no longer gonna be a math league?
it's gonna be in conjunction.
In conjunction.
Yes. The other thing is too, I didn't notice, certain clubs that were missing from there. I noticed that athletes helping athletes was not on there.
Could that have been because we had nobody
Yeah,
apply for
probably means they don't have anything so far, but I'll double check.
Okay, the board also approved in May the coding. I don't notice that on there as well.
It's computer science.
Is it on here?
Computer science.
No, for high school.
That's your sign.
It's computer club,
For high school.
number 20.
Is it computer? Because I thought there was, so that is the coding,
Yeah.
and that is new, and that's, you wanna double check that, because I think you're wrong on that.
Along my line's question, not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but I noticed that on some of the elementaries, like you said, it's sometimes listed as coding, sometimes listed as computer
No,
science.
you remember the two young gentlemen that came here to advocate for the high school club? This is
Yeah,
something.
no, I know, I'm just saying, but you also asked about the elementary
Yes,
this morning,
yes,
about
yes.
how it was, what was not on some of
Should
the,
be
she
a
said it was, can we just fix it so it's one name?
Yes.
Like
But
it should
that-
all be computer science,
It should,
not
did they
coding.
update
If
the?
coding's included in computer science,
Yeah, we
it should
we
all
can
be,
rename them so
it
that's
should all be
uniform.
computer science
Sure.
if coding's included in computer science.
Yes, I would agree.
So I would double check because, I did a little background, I don't think you guys did a posting for the science, for the coding. I don't think you guys posted for that. The other one that was missing from there as well was, I believe it was music theory. That was another club that was approved in May. I don't see that on the list. And there was a fourth club, I don't recall what the fourth club was that the board approved. And my concern is that I don't want these clubs to now be posted October, November, and December. And I'll give you Science Olympiad as a prime example. I would have loved to see that club start in September, so that this way these kids were ready for the competitions that year. The teacher did a phenomenal job, fantastic job. But I think it would be great, if we're gonna have these particular clubs start, especially the competitive
We
clubs.
can make sure they move on.
All right, so, as far as the Math Honor Society, are we gonna relabel it and give it the appropriate stipend? Like I said, we need something to take care of. And then you'll find out about the other clubs, right? Okay. That's my questions. But, wait, there's actually, I don't know, it's actually a question. I calculated the clubs at $120,297. Assuming that budget line is gonna be around 150 somewhere. So obviously, we're missing clubs from that list.
Yes.
Okay,
And it could be as simple as they couldn't find anybody so far, but I'll double check with him.
okay, because I'm assuming those 4 clubs are gonna be incorporated.
Yes.
All in favor as amended?
Excuse me for a second. There was no motion or second made, and you need to say as amended.
All right.
Well, you have to amend the math.
Need a motion as amended.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Now, recommended action, financial matters. Need a motion, second for items 2 through 5.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
No, I'd like to wait till September.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, consent agenda, need a motion and a second. We are pulling 03, legal review.
Oh, 3.
Yes.
St.
No?
Charles Hospital,
Yes.
we're pulling that one?
They made an amendment to the agreement, which makes reference to their adherence with the Roman Catholic Church requirements for ethics and religious directives.
We can do
Because
that.
they're applying for this contract, so we need to contact them to say that's a problematic separation of churches.
Exactly, yeah, I was gonna say that's a problem.
All right, so we're pulling that. So can I get a motion to accept as amended?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Yes, I need a
Motion
motion
to the finance.
to move into executive session.
I thought we were supposed to discuss something.
Oh, the letter.
The letter. Sorry, the letter, before we go into
The letter.
the letter.
At the house, you had to read it in the voting.
Okay, this is a timely, we try not to do too many discussions on the reorganization meeting because there are times that we have new board members, so, however, there's a timeliness to this discussion that I'm just going to beg your indulgence on. For the last 2 years, the Common Core Geometry Regents exam has been on a cut score that's very different than the other commencement level Regents exams, which is Common Core Algebra 1 and Common Core Algebra 2. The cut score this year, and last year as well, for the Geometry Regents out of 86 points was a 34, which sounds low, but when you look at the psychometrics of creating an exam, one of the things that the New York State Education Department does regularly is field test their questions. And the reason that they field test the questions is because they are trying to assess the p-value, letter P, little letter P value. That p-value is a measure of how difficult it is for a child to do well on that question. It's a percentage of kids who, on their first shot in a field test experience, got the question correct. So when you have a higher p-value, you have more students who are able to answer that question correctly. So a p-value of a 0.9 would suggest that 90% of the students who took that field test got that question correct. So any good test will have a range of p-value questions. Some that every child who took the course should have no difficulty answering. Some that the kids who are better at the course would have no difficulty, but some kids would have difficulty. And then the separation of mastery from the remainder of the kids, those would have low p-values, so they would be more challenging. If you look at the State Education Department's website and you look at all their technical reports on all the field tests leading up to the Common Core Regents exams in geometry, there was one question in all of the field tests that had a p-value of 0.9 or higher. All the other ones fit in a much lower p-value. So when we looked at this year's test and did a little bit of analysis, and it's come across the state that the test was far more rigorous than a second year of a mathematics course should potentially be. There were multiple choice questions. Wow, that's a lot of multiples. There were quite a few of the multiple choice questions, a highest percentage of them, had multiple steps that a child had to do in order to access the answer. So if I'm a child who is even slightly struggling with the content, I might have gotten the first step wrong, which means I never get a right answer by the time I hit the third step, because it's a multiple choice question. So there's no partial credit. I believe truly that would be a very low p-value test. The way the test questions were constructed were very wordy. In fact, involved some translation in order to make sure you knew what the child needed to do to answer those questions, which would once again lead to a lower p-value. Finally, part 2, which is extended constructed response, where there are some opportunities for kids to get partial credit. Nearly every question needed the child to create a construction. Whereas on past exams, they used to give some of the line constructions for students, and then they would do their mathematics off of the pre-printed construction. This time, that was not true. So I have asked to write a letter. I've asked the board to allow me, and if they were willing, to sign off in a method for that shows that the whole governance body of the district believes that the New York State test in this case has hurt children across the state. So if you'll allow me to, that was just kind of background information, if you'll allow me to read the letter and tell me what you think. Dear Commissioner Elliott, New York State students receive some of the best educations in the country. This is a standard which we work hard to uphold. Our Regents Diploma holds students to a rigorous standard. However, we continually push our students to strive for the more rigorous Advanced Regents Diploma and the Advanced Regents Diploma with distinction. Unfortunately, these credentials are out of reach of many of our students due to the cut score on the past 2 Geometry Regents exams. New York State spent millions of dollars field testing questions to ensure test validity and reliability. These technical reports, created by Pearson Incorporated, assessed hundreds of field questions for their p-value or complexity. When the p-value of a question is low, the question is more difficult, which in turn means that fewer students would answer that question successfully. If you look back at the p-value charts of all the Common Core Geometry field tests, only one field test had a single question with a p-value greater than 0.9, which means that 90% of the students answered it correctly. When p-value decreases, difficulty increases. Fewer students have the capacity to answer the questions correctly. The offset of this is that the cut score for the exam must decrease in order to show that students successfully mastered the standards. One can only wonder if, as alleged by SED, the teachers who set the cut score were given the field-tested p-values for the questions chosen for the exam prior to allowing them to set the cut score. Experts across the state are decrying this examination as extremely difficult, with multiple choice questions having multiple steps in order to access the answer, and having every question on part 2 needing a student-generated construction, both of which are heretofore unheard of. Questions on both parts also included extremely challenging language constructs, whereby the first challenge to students became deciphering what the question was actually asking them to do. One would think that these questions might have a preponderance of low p-values. If the state wants to provide a more difficult exam, as the difficulty increases, a reciprocal decrease in cut score must accompany this. All exams should have a balance of both high and low p-value questions. This separates out the understanding of the standards from the mastery of the standards. These concepts have been explained to the field many times in the generation of the New York State Assessment Program. This does not seem to be aligned in the geometry regions. Geometry has now become the gatekeeper for 3 more rigorous diplomas: Advanced Regents with Distinction, and Regents with STEM certification. Prior to the institution of the Common Core Geometry Regents, 85% of our students passed the Geometry Regents, with 25% achieving mastery. This year, we had 70% of our students pass and only 9% achieve mastery. This closes the door for the Advanced Regents Diploma with Distinction and the STEM designation for over 90% of our students. It is understood that this is a commencement level course. However, this assessment did not truly evaluate students' mastery of this material. By generating such a rigorous examination without the subsequent lowering of the cut score, the State Education Department has effectively taken away the opportunity for thousands of students across the state to achieve a higher level diploma. One cannot forget that New York State also has students who have learning difficulties, as well as students who are not native speakers of English. This exam and its unprecedented rigor, both in question formation and multi-step calculation for answers, provided unsurmountable hurdles. How do we ask a student who is learning challenged to continue in the pathway toward increasing mathematical understanding when the assessments do not permit them to be successful? We urge you to reconsider the cut scores based more closely on the difficulty of the examination to allow our students to strive for the more rigorous diploma. By decreasing the cut score to be more in line with the other 2 commencement mathematics regions, our passing rate would significantly increase. Please see the chart below. With a cut score of 34, 70% of our students passed, which is 323 students. If the cut score was lowered to the Algebra 1 cut score, which was 27, 83% of our students would pass, which is 387 students, which is a difference of 64 students. If the cut score was lowered to 26 points, which is the Algebra 2 cut score, 86% of our students would pass, which is 401 students, a difference of 78 students. Your consideration of these changes is greatly appreciated and should be extended to last year's administration of this same exam. It is in the best interest of all the students of New York State.
Yes.
I like it, I'll sign it.
Okay, so I'm going to put everybody's signature line on the bottom, and then we'll have everybody sign it and send it out. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
A friend of mine, she works for one of these rehabs, and she works at night, so she gets lesser of the amount of people coming in. But there used to be kids in their 30s, 20s, late teens, now it's become earlier teens or also they're starting to see more and more of them. So my question to you, or whoever wants to answer, are we doing anything over the summer that we're getting started school year off, reaching out to the parents and the kids in the district? Did you hear about that?
I heard the beginning, I did not hear the end.
Are we doing anything? Are we preparing anything over the summer so we can hit the ground running and reach parents and children in the middle and high schools? Since it's happening, it's getting worse and worse, it's not getting better, you know? So rather than be reactive and rush in the middle of the year because we're hearing more kids are dying, I'd rather be proactive and do something at the beginning of the year. We're not reaching those parents, we're just not reaching them early enough. You know, and it's getting worse and worse, not better. When you hear about policemen having to have that Narcan, whatever that is, because they're breathing in it. I mean, it's an epidemic, and it's dangerous.
Our YFS workers are charged with hitting the ground running, so to speak, as you mentioned. I think it's an open conversation that we have all year. In addition to that, I think we're trying to bring mindfulness to the whole entire district, which is a great entrance in just discussing the mind-body experience, taking care of your mind,
I'm
taking
talking
care of
about
your
middle,
body.
I'm not even talking elementary.
No, this is middle school and high school I'm speaking of.
I'm talking
Yes.
middle school, really.
I'm speaking of middle school and high school right now. In addition, we did add additional mental health to both middle schools for September 1st. We have already hired, which allows for 3 guidance counselors in each middle school and a dedicated YFS worker to address your concerns, because we agree they are huge concerns for everyone who works in education, anybody who has children, anybody, just anybody and everybody. I think El Santo, to answer that question more than I have right now, should be better fit to answer what they did in June and how they're starting in September. But this is something that's addressed on a regular basis.
Okay, let me just give you a 2-second bit. I invited someone to that session that was going on in the high school. Twin girls, both on drugs, both on heroin. So I invited him to come, and I introduced him to some people, and then I walked away. Both of these girls are now free of drugs. One took a little longer. They found help from the people there. They were both sent to Florida. One got out of it. The other one came back, started shooting again, and then father finally had to kick her out of the house, and then got help again for her, and she's now clean. So because of something like that, we helped 2 kids from not dying. But that's just a drop in the bucket.
You're right.
I think if we reach more of those, not invite them, I'm telling you, to make it more mandatory, because no one thinks it's going to happen. And I know so many kids, it's more and more kids. When my son came home for 3 weeks to visit, he filled me in about all the kids. They're lawyers, doctors, come from the homes, just like these homes here, these board members sitting here, just like these homes. Good parents, good families, active. They're drug addicts. You know, we're not reaching the parents early enough. Get the kids, we're not reaching the parents. What they can do to help? You know, if we can't do it as a unit, it's not going to help. You can't do it in a classroom. You can't just talk to kids in an assembly. It does not work, especially the young ones. It's just another assembly. It really doesn't help. You know, you reached a father who was desperate in that particular case that I just cited to you. He was desperate. Before that, he didn't know anything. And before that, he had no direction. So that's why, you know, it's almost a plea that I ask that you reach out to the middle schools and educate the parents as well as the children.
Your point was well taken, yes.
Okay. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
To move into executive, motion for the Board of Education, move into executive session in accordance with open meetings law, section 105F, employment history of a particular